We're here to help you navigate your business growth with strategic conversations and insights from experts in multiple industries. Welcome to Wayfinding Growth.
This episode of Wayfinding Growth is brought to you by Sprocket Talk. Now, if you're ready to take your HubSpot experience to a whole new level, you need to join Sprocket Talk as a free VIP member. That's right, free. Tutorials, courses, training, HubSpot updates, and so much more. Head to sprockettalk.com/WG to join the movement and get an exclusive Wayfinding Growth deal. I'm Dan Moyle. Welcome to the show.
And I'm Remington and Dan. So today we're talking about being the CEO and calling out sick.
Yeah.
Dan, talk to me about your takeaways from this episode.
So I was excited to get into this one because I just find it super interesting that so many owners and entrepreneurs and CEOs probably just don't call in sick because they feel like the company rests on their shoulders, right? And I've seen that from you a little bit, but you were out for like almost 2 weeks. I'm like, we got to talk about this
for the record.
I mean, you sound a little bit maybe rough, so take a nap today. But I thought, man, we got to dig into this because you were able to take that time off, and we didn't fall apart without you. So how does that feel? So my takeaways on this one, I like that you say you encourage owners and leaders to test it. Like if you get to that point where you think maybe I can take some time off, take a day.
Yeah.
And whether you aren't feeling well or whether you just want to take a day off, like take a day, test it, be connected, but see how everyone fares. And you're going to be surprised maybe at how well they do. Surprised in a good way. So that was a good one. And then the other one was just the practical advice of systems and documentation.
Yeah.
Right. Like you've been able to use Tetra and that kind of stuff to say, okay, here's the systems. Here's the documentation. I can now walk away for a minute and people can handle it. So yeah, man, really good stuff. How did you feel about it? You like these?
Yeah. So it was a great therapy session.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Really and I think people are enjoying that. I hope our listeners enjoy that because I like to think that they're getting something out of it, a parallel industry. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, my friends, here it is, season 2, episode 11, calling in sick as the CEO. Let's set that course for growth. Remington, happy Monday as we're recording. Happy whatever day it is when it comes out. But happy hey, man, Tuesday. What's up? Happy Tuesday. There you go. With 3 podcasts, I sometimes get confused as to what comes out when. So happy Tuesday. Absolutely right. So hey, man, welcome back to our conversations.
Yeah.
So I like therapy sessions. I love that, man. So I like to open up the curtain, pull back the curtain, see how the sausage is made. What other cliches can we use? Get inside Impulse Creative. You mentioned a thing to me the other day, which I'm excited to talk about today. It was like the first time I think ever that you've had the company, that you've been able to call in sick and the company didn't suffer.
Right.
So as an owner, as a co-founder, as the CEO, that sounds like it's a big deal, huh?
Yeah. So, well, it's a big deal and scary at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's happened. Like usually I'm pretty good at bouncing back from being sick. This time I've been told, and I'm starting to realize that I probably burned the candle at too many ends. Both ends probably doesn't even describe it.
Right.
But,
the sides everywhere.
Yeah. Well, like, and historically, like, like if I've been sick, I've been out like a day or two, like max. Right. So not a lot of potential for people to be like, oh, where the heck's Remington? Back in the day, like when it was Rachel and me, like I was 100% of production. So if I was sick, like everything stopped, which is okay if everything stops sometimes when you're smaller. But so does the money. And so then, over the next few years, once we had employees, it was, okay, so Remington gets sick. And it, again, I don't think I've ever been out as long as I have just recently, and it's like, oh, now it costs money to be sick rather than like money stops because there's employees that might be needing you or you're in the way. But it's very interesting. Our conversation was like, holy crap, like nothing blew up. I say that almost as like a joke, and I'm knocking on wood for the audio listeners right now, like in my head. But on the flip side, there's also this other like, wait, nothing slowed down either. Which is great. And that's an ode to our team. Project management kept strong, sales kept strong, delivery just like is happening. And I got more like, oh, sorry, you're sick from clients, than, hey, where is this? which is awesome as an owner, but very unfamiliar. And I say that not to be a negative connotation on anything. Just there comes a point where, where suddenly you have to be able to relinquish control so that you can get better too. And that's an internal lesson right now.
So let's go back real quick and define something for listeners and viewers. You say production. So we're an agency. So what does production mean for us?
Production, like hours on the shelf, like people doing the things that are supposed to get done, website builds, logo designs, social media posts, emails being sent out, like everything that would keep a company moving from a marketing and sales department point of view, like, and delivery in our case for the agency. We really didn't skip a beat, which was great.
So back in the day that used to be all you, now it's a full team that we have.
Yeah. So, I mean, in all reality, we've got 14 others doing all the work. So I'm 1/15 of the equation now, probably less than a 15th, to be honest with you, in regards to like service delivery and everything. And so it was kind of surreal. Like, for so long as an entrepreneur or as an owner, you push this big boulder up a hill, and then suddenly you realize that it's on the other side of the mountain and you're running in front of it.
That's a good picture. You're running in front of it.
Yeah.
So my mind was going, as you were saying that, I was finishing the story for you in my mind. That's the beauty of story, right? My thought was, as you're pushing that boulder up the hill, all of a sudden you realize you're not pushing as hard because you've got 14 other sets of hands pushing it with you.
Sure.
So, but I like the running down a hill. That's even better.
Yeah. Well, because at a certain point, like, you can't stop it, right? Like, I got sick. It would have been more comfortable to pause time, get better, and then turn everything else on. But like, our clients have things to do. Like, we've got things to do. And so it's really you're going to get run over if you don't move out of the way. And so that's a very welcomed new lesson, but it's also something that's pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah. And as you realized that had happened, have you come to a point in the last couple of weeks here where you've like begun to think about how you got to that point, like in this growth journey? Or is that kind of new for you too?
I've been very thankful for the people that are solving problems while I'm gone. I haven't really thought about it intentionally. I've been trying to focus on getting better myself. And apparently I'm relapsing because today I'm even more stuffy than I was last week, Friday. But sorry, listeners. But the other thing is, I think that it reinforces, we just had an all hands where I talked a lot about like how my focus as a CEO has to shift a little. And it reinforces that, Remington, you can shift focus and not be as focused on service delivery and nothing blows up. And again, knocking on my hard head in that regard, and that's something that kind of like forces you to do it. But calling out sick is not something I've ever really done, other than like other people being like, no, you're dying, you should stop. This was the first time that I think I legit was like, all right, guys, I'm going to sleep for a while.
Yep. Yeah. I get a Slack message. Hey man, can we reschedule whatever this was? I'm not feeling well. Yeah, man, no problem. Then I see other meetings like fall off. Oh, all right, cool. He's going to actually take time off. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with other things coming up here in the future pretty soon, we've got Inbound in a couple of weeks. When we're recording this, we're able to unplug a little bit and let things keep happening too, probably a little bit.
Yep.
You guys, if you don't mind me saying, are expecting your second child.
Yep.
So you're able to maybe kind of see that in the future too and plan for like, okay, my baby's walking. I don't have to hold its hand anymore. Right.
Yep. So that's the hope. I think just because your baby's walking doesn't mean you don't have hands right on either side of it waiting for waiting for it to fall. Right, but that's the concept. That's the idea. It's funny. Rachel and I've talked like numerous times about all these perks and benefits, like vacation time and, all this stuff. And we really historically haven't leveraged or used that. When we had Carter, my son, right now he's 3.5. When we had him, I was back to work 3 days later, 3 business days. I had like 5 total days. But it was just one of those things that like, it wasn't an option, where now it's like, all right, I might actually leverage our paternity leave policy.
Yeah.
And Rachel also leveraging maternity leave policy that we have for the agency for everybody else. So, yeah.
So I find this kind of interesting too, then, being a company that is somewhat remote, that is hybrid. You're not in the HQ office today. I can see that. So, so like you're able to actually unplug, not just like, oh, I'm going to work from home and be here and there. And I mean, you can do that if you choose to, but you can actually unplug and get to that point as an entrepreneur. Yeah. You call it scary. How else did that make you feel that you can do that?
So it's scary. It's not scary because I'm worried of anything happening.
Sure. Yeah.
It's scary because I'm worried I'm not going to be there when someone actually needs something. And I think that ties into our previous episode of treating everyone like family.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
So,
yeah. And so what kind of advice would you give to those entrepreneurs? If we think of our listeners and viewers as the entrepreneurs and business owners, some of them are going to be of like enterprise companies. So they're leaders of teams. So they may not need this anymore. If you think of those like solopreneurs, small business entrepreneurs and owners, what advice would you give to start preparing for this journey of, I can actually call in sick?
Yeah. So, build your team so you could trust them. I hope everyone's doing that regardless.
Right.
And then, document the processes, get the stuff out of your own head. If you don't know what I'm talking about, documenting processes, you should listen to our Tetra episode.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah. That was a good stuff from Nelson.
Yep. And, get that stuff outlined so that if you do have to step in or you do have to cover for something as an entrepreneur, then you should have some easy places to let that information be accessible. And then do it. Like maybe do it for a day if you're not feeling well, but be available via Slack or whatever if people really need you. I think a long time I thought, and I'm not sick a lot. Like this, I think since you started, I think this is one of the first times I've been like for real sick. But I'm not dying or anything. I'm just have the flu.
And bronchitis,
flu, my wife would say. Like, but
that's a whole different discussion right there.
Yeah.
I should ask her about that on the Married to an Entrepreneur episode coming.
Oh man, I just dug myself a hole that one. But no, the whole like testing it out. Like it doesn't have to be an entire week. It could be a day, and just check yourself. Like be like, wow, nothing broke. Like nothing blew up, and use that as like a checkbox for the own internal confidence. And for me, it's I can't like half be out, especially there's 14 other people doing things. There's going to be questions, there's going to be conversations in Slack. Like if I have to check out, I'm like, I'm out, and I'm going to turn off notifications and like try to go to sleep, because I could literally just be watching the agency work on Slack virtually.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help anybody.
Right.
Might as well just be working. So
on those communication tools, you've mentioned Slack, of course, we use that quite a bit. We talked about this in a previous episode too.
Yeah.
Do you find that, like, how do you use the different tools then when you're out sick? Do you say, okay, you guys keep using Slack, do your thing. I'm going to unplug. I'm not going to worry about this. If you need me, email me and I'll use that as a documentation? Or how do you kind of handle that communication style?
Well, email's not much better for me.
Yeah.
But one of the things that, like, so Audrey handles project management for a lot of the team. So what I'll do a lot of times, that stuff is going to be the more like surprises, the project stuff, than it would be like our retainer team that's managing the ongoing marketing for everything. So what I do is, like, I literally this last time was like, hey, Audrey, if you need anything, shoot me a text, right? Or give me a call, like call me on my cell phone, because I have Zoom and Slack turned off. That allows for her to know, like, I'm opening the door, call me if you need me. And then it also allows for her or whomever else on the team to be like, I don't quite need him that bad. It can wait till tomorrow. And then at the same time, it's like just making sure that people know how to do stuff. Like, I think some of the times where I've been pulled in, it's because like I'm the only one that has access to something, or like I didn't share my knowledge the right way prior to exiting for the day. But, you know, have those different levels of importance, but make it really clear.
So I imagine a lot of owners and entrepreneurs and leaders might be a little bit type A. They might be a little bit of collectors of information, right?
Sure.
I see myself as a pack rat at times. You see over my shoulder here, I've got some music stuff. I'm a little bit of a pack rat, but I can see us being pack rats of data and information. So on the same lines of that communication, you know, did you find yourself having to talk through, I don't need to go look at all the Slack conversations. I don't need to go do this. And just let it go? How did that feel?
Yeah. So right now I only get notified. So there's a difference between a white dot and a red dot in Slack. Red dot is mentions, or like people are saying keywords. And the white dots are just something happened. So coming back from Slack, oh, that's something else with email is similar, but like coming back and looking at Slack, I love the like unread messages, because you can just like thumb through them and just hit mark as read. So I'm very much a passive like communicator. So I like to know what's going on so I can provide value if needed, or like I can see any opportunities for improvement. So I do read it, but it's not like I'm actively going through each one. If it's a really long conversation, I really only care about the end anyways, like where did it end up between the group. And then, so I'll go through and I'll mark those. And then anything that where my name was addressed, then I usually try and respond to that. And I did find myself, you know, cause I was out almost a week and a half. So, this last time, so I did find myself like checking early morning, making sure that there wasn't anything in my inbox that was, going to prevent anyone from doing their job. And then like towards the end of the day, maybe after lunch or something, kind of jumping in and saying, hey, like I got this email, or here's my thoughts, just to kind of make sure that it was going. But it really wasn't much when you think about the fact that there's 14 people that work here. So that was super awesome. Emails, I should probably re-mention this internally, but there's a difference between putting someone in the to and in the CC or the BCC in an email. So I actually have tags in my Gmail that say, like, if you CC me in something, that means that there's not necessary action for me, but if I'm in the to, that there is. So anything that I'm in the to, I go through first, and anything that is from someone at Impulse Creative that I'm CC'd or BCC'd on, I'll just like go, oh, there was an email about that. But in a lot of cases, I may not read it. Because usually like put this in your file when they BCC you. It's not, I need you to pay very important, like very heavy attention on this. So that helps me get through my email, because my email is a monstrosity. For those listening, do not pay attention to how I manage my email. It's probably not ideal.
No, but that's good though. I mean, that's a good communication tool too internally, just to know like, okay, this is how Remington uses it. Maybe we can all use it that way. That's a good lesson.
I should probably share that in a Tetra.
Yeah, that's a good Tetra doc right there. Interesting. Did you think about this over the years, either when you and Rachel kind of, you know, when you spun up Impulse Creative, or as you've grown, have you thought about that time when you're going to be able to take that time off, whether it's calling sick, whether it's time off, whatever it is, or has it just kind of happened? Like, oh, here's where we are. This is cool. Yeah,
it's more like a holy crap, this is cool. Like we just took our first vacation that we took in a while, as well. And, you know, it was a staycation. We didn't go anywhere crazy. And we took one a while back, but we were much more connected. This one we were intentionally not. You know, like I have the new Apple Watch, which is amazing. It allows you to completely unplug, except if people call you. Amazing, right?
Nice.
So like I could see a push notification, like if it was a direct message to me on my watch, but like I'm not going to be able to sit here and monitor everyone's conversation. It's like literally one on one, not like a paragraph on one. And so there was a lot of our vacation that we went on where it was like the beginning of the morning and the end of the day, just like making sure, really more of a self-survival thing. Like, let me make sure my email isn't at 1,000 by the time I'm done with vacation.
Right.
But at the same time, it was like, let's just go enjoy and be. And that was really incredible. That was the first time I've spent more than 3 days with Carter and Rachel together since Carter was born 3.5 years prior.
Wow.
Like uninterrupted. And, and that's also one of those things that, you don't intentionally, like, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take a 5-day vacation and unplug. It was always historically like, oh, that'd be nice.
Right.
So between that and then being sick, like those are two examples of where now I think we've got all the bases covered within the team that it's like, oh yeah. We can totally step away.
And I mean, let's just be honest here. Like that, none of that happened until I started Impulse. So, I mean, sorry.
Well, but so to your point though, like, so you're one of those bases, right? Like sales historically before Jackie started was a big area. Like if I left, like there was, with the hurricane, right? We had the hurricane 2 years ago, and because we were out of commission for 2.5 weeks, I lost 2.5 weeks of pipeline. It really affected the business. So now granted, that was a lot of the team being uprooted for a while, but yeah, you're an integral piece, just like a lot of the other team is. And so that was a big, jokes aside, that was one of those things. Like, I don't have to worry about tweeting. I don't have to worry about doing any of this stuff. Like Dan's got it.
Yeah.
So,
and for the record, I do more than tweet, but anyway,
yes, you do.
Come on, man. I gotta have some fun here. So how critical is it then for that CEO to be? Sorry.
He does do more than tweet. Oh man, I made my bet on that one.
No, how critical is it for a CEO, for a C-level executive, for an owner to be able to unplug like you just described? Like, how is that for your mental health, man?
Yeah, so good question. I don't know. No, I think that it was, so this past vacation that was, I think it was actually 4 days, 4 business days that I was out, was eye-opening to me, because over the past few years, like, either I wasn't willing or I wasn't able. I can't tell you 100% which one it was, but I know that there were issues that came up that I had to be involved in, whether I made them or whether someone else did. I can't recall. It's very easy to inject myself into processes. This year, I'm actually trying really hard not to inject myself into things. So yeah, I mean, you can do that, but I think it's work to exclude yourself. Like it is, and I think you mentioned something like be the last to talk in a meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to be pretentious, but like, I feel like I know the answers to a lot of the questions that are asked, and I actively try not to make a facial expression because we're on video, people, right. Until the end. And a lot of times people go, well, what do you think? And I'm like, I have no opinion until I have an opinion.
Right.
But that's a similar thing. Like, oh, I could be in all these meetings that are integral to how things go, but do I have to be? I think that's an ongoing struggle that any entrepreneur or C-level is. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm a newer manager in that regard, where I haven't had as much like, they'll handle that.
Right. No, it's incredible. I've heard it a few times, or at least twice anyway, and I've seen it in different ways too. And I just saw it recently. I was on a video call with some friends. It wasn't a business related thing, but it was the leadership of this group. When a question was asked, he spoke first, and everybody else just kind of went,
right, and
nothing else came out of it. And it wasn't a bad thing. He was absolutely right in what he said. I would have agreed regardless.
Sure.
But like I noticed that, I logged that, and I plan on talking to him about it later and say, hey, look, just so you know, when you talk, everybody else shuts up and we just agree. Nobody pushes back. If we're able to talk first, then you can say, I agree, or have you thought about it this way? So I think that's huge.
Yeah. And there's a lot of motivations there, right? So you got 10 people in the room. That's every minute is 10 billable minutes, right? So like we want to jump in and solve all the problems. It's very men-like.
I think so. Yeah.
Women go through the same thing too, but we really want to solve problems right away.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to really dwell on this, like, let them figure it out. So.
Yep. And along that same lines, I think, again, painting a broad, how do I say it? Broad stroke, brush stroke, right? Men want to fix. We're fixers. So I tend to ask, fix it or feel it. Either actually legitimately ask that with someone, male or female. My brother at one point was complaining to me about something, and I was like, dude, fix it or feel it. Just feel it. All right, cool, man. Man, I'm sorry you're going through that. I feel for you.
That's actually really good. I like that.
Right. And so, but I also do it internally. When somebody's telling me something, I think, okay, do I think they want me to fix it or feel it? If I don't ask directly, I just kind of listen and feel it at first.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big one for a lot of leaders, whatever your level.
Yeah.
If you're leading others, stop and think about that. Because I think that'll get you to where you can at some point call in sick or take a vacation. Right. Once people feel valued and know that you've listened, don't just run roughshod over them and I'm just going to do it. Right. They're able to then perform better, and you can then step back and go, all right, they got this.
Yep.
Right. So that's huge.
Yep. And I think technology helps a lot too. Like
how's that?
3 years ago, I didn't have Zoom. I couldn't jump on a quick Zoom call in the middle of the pool at the resort to answer someone's question if they needed it. Right.
Yeah.
Just wasn't an option. In some cases, I couldn't even call them. And so that helps with peace of mind as well as a CEO or an owner. Like, you could, if you had to, right? It's like my watch. Like, I'm so proud of my watch that it can take a phone call. So I don't carry my phone. But in all reality, this thing didn't ring that much, so it's our way of holding us. Oh, I can't go to the store without my phone. What if someone calls? It's the same kind of feeling, but it helps a lot in that regard for, I think for a manager or an owner, to not get in the way, but it also takes some work ahead of time. I usually am going to be almost cramming for a test the day before just to make sure I'm not in the way of anybody, while I'm gone.
And is that technology? So let me make sure I hear you right too. Is you have that Apple Watch that you can take phone calls, but in the meanwhile, you're not sitting there on your phone in your hands, for viewers seeing scrolling through stuff and tweeting and doing this and then not paying attention to your family. You can actually unplug, but still stay plugged in. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So I did have my phone, and I didn't realize this till after about my Apple Watch. I did have my phone, but I actually put that on airplane mode so that I could use it as a camera because it's better than my camera. Right. But it was a brick. It wouldn't hook onto Wi-Fi unless I intentionally was pressing the button, which I made a bet that I wouldn't.
And did you win that bet?
I was close.
Oh, you did. All right,
I was really close. Or as my wife would say, surprisingly close. But
sure.
So that's one of those things. But the ability to be contacted if needed, I think, is one of those big barriers. And then the other side is strictly emotional. You're allowed. And I think Jackie might have said that to me, when she saw that I was still trying to come into work. She's like, you're allowed to take some time off, right?
That's good.
You're allowed to do that. You want to lead from the front. You want to lead as a good example. But I would beat up my team if they were coming into work and felt like crap and didn't take some time.
Yep.
I would also beat them up for not taking time off to go on vacation. So the next big test for us is paternity leave. Or for me, Rachel will have maternity leave, but
all right. We'll have to see how that goes, man. We'll record some episodes ahead of time.
Or
I'll find some other guests within the company. I mean, what the heck, right? Lots of subject matter experts, baby. I love the schmees.
Yeah.
All right, man. Any last advice for those owners that are thinking, man, I want to be able to get to that point?
So for owners, no. But for employees, speak up. If you see someone suffering, realize that your boss or your CEO or someone who you respect, regardless of their position below or above you, speak up and say something about it. If you're hey, when's the last time you went on vacation? ask that question, because I think a lot of times, like I'm like full steam ahead. It'll be 3.5 years before I realize that I haven't taken a vacation. Right. And then like my current situation, maybe I just crash and burn because I am burning the candle on all 14 ends.
Right.
So speak up and say something. And if nothing else, maybe you'll inspire your boss to actually take that sick day that they've been avoiding.
It's like what we talked about on one of the episodes, being like family, right?
Yeah.
Care for each other. You can say love, you can say care, respect, whatever it is. But the fact is, we care about other human beings. So speak up and take care of each other.
Amen.
Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, please share it. Post it, tweet it, gram it, email a friend. Give the gift of knowledge to someone you know that could benefit from it. And if you really loved it, please consider leaving a rating and written review on your podcast player of choice. And as always, go to wayfindinggrowth.com for resources and past episodes. Remember, we're here to help you navigate your business growth with strategic conversations and insights from experts in multiple industries. Thank you for listening to Wayfinding Growth.